Hi everyone, I'm Gia Riley Teagan from Wattpad.com, and I just want to give you guys the biggest thank you in the entire world, virtual hug. Basically, I just wanted to thank you all for the success of the waiting game. It has 10,000 reads, which to me is monumental. That kind of support is just really something that I can't even wrap my head around. The thing with the waiting game is that I never actually advertised it. So all of the success, all of the reads, everything is from you guys, adding it to your libraries, voting for it, sharing it with your friends. However you guys did it, you did it. Like, you got it to 10,000 reads, and I think that is absolutely crazy. It's mind-blowing, really. I am still so completely overwhelmed by the idea that it has that many reads. And I figured that with that, I would tell you guys a little bit about the waiting game. I've put it in comments a couple of times, but I never really fully talked about it. I wrote the waiting game the summer before senior year, into senior year of high school last year. With the waiting game, I based it on something that happened to me, kind of. My friend, I did not have a boyfriend that died in a car crash, but I wrote the waiting game to cope with my boyfriend breaking up with me. I know that sounds a little superficial and like not what you're really expecting, but I'm gonna paint the best picture that I can for right now. Basically, I have extreme anxiety and I have bouts of depression. So when I actually felt like someone was actually going to be nice to me, it was a little unbelievable. So when we had the breakup, it was I kind of didn't know how to deal with it. None of my friends knew that we'd been dating, and I didn't want to tell them because not that it was embarrassing, but it was more embarrassing on the principle of what happened afterward. My friend Elle actually found out that I dated him from reading the story, and I think she's the only one, and that's so embarrassing for me. I wrote the waiting game to cope with a lot of things that had been happening to me. The breakup kind of didn't have much to do with anything. It was more of like that was one thing on top of the other. So to cope with trying to move past someone, I came up with this story. I I don't know. It was so hard at the time to get through life. Like, I didn't realize the structure of actual living. Like, I didn't realize that point in time, I was going to move on. It was kind of one of those things you're like, how am I going to move past this? You will. And it actually won't take that much time. At the time, though, I had so many emotional constraints. I had so many emotional problems. And for me, writing was cathartic. I got to talk about what I didn't know how to talk about to other people. So when I wrote the waiting game, it was mostly for me, and I figured I'd put it on Wattpad. I think I had Toy Soldiers and Relying on Ben and Jerry only on there. It's fuzzy. So I kind of just took a shot in the dark. I figured I might as well just put it on Wattpad and see if people liked it. Gia went to Flagler to visit Jordan, who was Holden's best friend, and I currently go to Flagler today. So when I first went to Flagler to visit here in St. Augustine, Florida, I was kind of blown away by the entirety of it. And when I was standing on the lighthouse, I say this loosely because I never made it to the top. I have an extreme fear of heights, and I was hyperventilating by the second stair. So I stayed there. My mom went to the top and took pictures, so that's how I know what it looks like. But when they were talking about that and how life is so fragile, it was really kind of my depression leaking through, and Jordan was kind of my depression. I was showing my depression through him, and I think that was really good for me. It was actually really cathartic. Like, it made me see that the way that I was thinking wasn't permanent. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to realize, is that these things are not permanent. You can move on from this fact. You do not have to have this dictate your entire life. It just feels like you do. And you don't. I've seen that the waiting game has helped people, like, just emotionally, like, through their life. And that means so much, like, because it helped me get past this really bad block I had. after junior year, I was still recovering from my depression, and using the waiting game as almost a springboard, I managed to get out of it and I managed to move on, and I kind of accepted everything that had happened to me and I moved past it. And to hear that people found so much emotional, like, enlightenment almost from the waiting game, from your amazing messages, your kind comments, it means the world to me. There have been more than once that I have been reading these comments and cried. Just by myself, sitting alone in my room with my cat, I have cried. Things like this really change me for who I am and how I write and what I want to do. Like how I'm going to be able to write and focus, because I write for me, but I write for you. I don't, no offense guys, but I don't cater to you. But I want to write something that you understand, that you can feel. And hearing that you guys really felt for it really means the world to me. I'm sorry this is getting kind of long, but my stories have hit pretty higher ratings than the waiting game, but the waiting game has meant the most to me. And I'm starting to get emotional. It's inexplicable how I feel about this. When the waiting game hit 10,000 reads, which is why I'm late, because I think we're at like 10,100 right now. The reason why it's late is because I threw out my back. So I wasn't sure if I was crying because I hit 10,000 or because I couldn't move. Anyway, thank you all for your support, for everything. I don't know how I will ever repay you guys. Just thank you guys so much. You guys mean the world to me, and I really mean it. So feel better about yourself, guys. It seems impossible, but you'll get over it. You'll recover, and you'll realize that you were kind of foolish. Riley out.